Hey guys, what is going on? It is Ando, and we have another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video on a deep dive on the character they just announced, which is the Scout Trooper. It's looking pretty promising, actually. So before we get into the video, guys, if you guys could hit the thumbs up button, comment on it, tell me what you guys like about these, and then subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't subscribed yet, so that way you guys aren't missing anything. All right, let's get into this, guys, because this is actually a pretty important character. I could see this building into something a little bit more substantial in the future, and they've kind of hinted at that as well. So we got Scout Trooper. Finally, it's here, right? It's been a long time coming kind of thing, but it looks pretty good. So it's a support, it's Empire, it's Imperial Remnant, and it's an Imperial Trooper. Imperial Remnant is one of those things where, all Imperial Remnants are Imperial Troopers. Not all Imperial Troopers are Imperial Remnants, at least up to this point. We usually skip after this part right here, but this is pretty important. There is a raid Omicron coming for this, right? So this is going to be utilized in the Endor raid, they're saying it's going to have strong utility there. Now, again, you have to kind of take those, people want to make good investments, and I know how bad it's going to feel when crate goes away, or people stop doing crate and they've just got a Ami Boosh Leia. It is what it is. You get a lot of rewards back for especially when you're early on, you're struggling to maybe do some things. So raid Amis exist. They usually are going to help you out and help 49 other people out as well. Take that as you can. Like maybe you're not in a guild that no one cares, and so you could just save your Omicron, but I would just have a spare one just in case. You're going to dispel all debuffs on allies if the leader is Imperial Remnant, and Imperial Remnant does unlock actually a lot of the kit, and that's kind of where I want to kind of deep dive into. There's different aspects, there's different places where Scout Trooper can go. We don't need to worry about too much there. Don't need to worry too much there as well. She will also be a requirement for Galactic Legend Leia. I did not see this coming. Brings into a lot of questions. What's going to happen? Is Drogon a requirement? Is Drogon a lifter unit? Is Drogon, why'd they mention him? Are we going to have 4 marquees tied to a Galactic Legend? I don't know. So that's all going to be stuff that's going to kind of develop as we kind of talk about this. But anyways, let's actually get into the kit, because there's a lot here, and I want to make sure that we cover it all, or at least try to cover it all. All right, so basic prepared shot. Its final text is that you're going to deal physical damage to the target enemy and inflict accuracy down for 2 turns. If Scout Trooper is stealth, this attack scores a critical hit if possible. So unless they have like crit hit immunity or something like that. During Scout Trooper's turn, so in a lot of these trooper teams, they do rely on calls to assist. So this part specifically only is applying whenever you're actually just doing the basic with the character. You're going to gain potency up for 1 turn, which is nice. There's a lot of debuffs, there's a lot of stuns, ability blocks, stuff like that happens within the trooper faction. So adding potency up is honestly a great thing. And then Imperial Remnant allies are also going to gain offense up. This is actually really important as well. But there's a lot of offense as well that's going to be happening in this kit, guys. There's going to be a ton of stacking offense, and you should not sleep on that. Okay, special 1, Imperial Precision. So it's cooldown of 3. You're going to deal physical damage to target enemy. You're going to dispel all buffs on them, and then inflict speed down for 2 turns. If Scout Trooper had accuracy up, this speed down cannot be resisted. So this right here, guys, I don't know what this is, because there's currently, through my combing through the kits, there's no current trooper that gives accuracy up. There's not even like an Empire. Well, I guess technically there is one Empire guy that gives accuracy up, but it's not a very common buff. So I'm assuming, and I guess one thing we did kind of gloss over is they talked about a new Moff Gideon that's going to be coming. I would assume that's the Beskar Moff Gideon, or whatever you want to call him. But this might be something that's calling towards his kit. And I mean, regardless though, like speed down is fine. Like, I don't want to, I don't want to downgrade that. But just the fact that it can't be resisted, I mean, there's not too many people that I'm worried about this affecting, right? Like, right now, this would be maybe like Wampa or something like that. But even then, I think you'll be okay. So if Scout Trooper is stealth, this attack can't be evaded. Okay. And then I mean, if you have accuracy up, like, I don't know, like that's going to be hard to get evaded anyways, I guess. I guess that can go through foresight though. So, okay. Regardless, we got special 2 here. Strategic assessment. It is a Zeta. It's cooldown of 4, and it's going to dispel all debuffs on all allies. Big thing there. If the ally leader is Imperial Remnant, which again is there's a big pull towards Imperial Remnant, but there's also stuff that you can fit in through other Imperial squads. Imperial Trooper allies gain crit damage up for 2 turns. Imperial Remnant allies gain speed up for 2 turns. Scout Trooper stealths for 2 turns, and then you're going to call a target ally to assist, dealing 75% less damage. You're going to inflict expose and stagger on all enemies for 2 turns. You're going to daze the target enemy for 2 turns, which can't be resisted. Can be evaded though. Okay, so this is kind of the big part right here, right? This is what they make a call out earlier that says, hey, this is going to help Iden versus Wampa, because you don't need the Imperial Remnant clause. Iden right now is not an Imperial Remnant, so unless they do a tag change or something like that, we are not going to be seeing, these buffs specifically, right? Like the dispel debuffs, right? That'd be so awesome. You can dispel, your days and all those dots that Wampa is thrown on, the heal immunities. You'd have like double cleanse essentially, but that's not going to happen, right? But you're going to get crit damage up, and Iden hits really hard as is, so it's going to feel pretty nice with her. And then your Imperial Remnant allies, right? Like there's only 4 of them right now, but they're going to gain their speed up, and that's going to be pretty sweet. Now, here's kind of an interesting part. Again, if the ally in the leader slot is an Imperial Remnant, the allies are going to get an advantage for 2 turns. Scout Trooper's Imperial Precision ability is going to gain 40% bonus damage. So this is where this gets a little bit confusing. I think this is what it's trying to say. So this ability right here is the Imperial Precision. So it's their special one. It's going to gain 40% bonus damage stacking. I'm assuming that means every single time you use it, it's cooldown of 3. So it is going to be kind of... It will be kind of sporadic in of itself, but you're going to get that bonus damage until the end of the battle. And then I think it's trying to say here, and the assisting ally in this ability, not Imperial Precision, but the ability that we're currently using, is not affected by this 75% less damage. So they're just going to call to assist. Again, though, this is all going to be Imperial Remnant. So in my mind, right, this is where Moff Gideon lead is just going to absolutely blow Iden lead out of the water, just because you're going to be able to call in and select Dark Trooper. Dark Trooper is going to do a ton of damage. He's not going to be held to a 75% less damage. And yeah, this is going to feel good. Like, having him do this is going to feel really nice. Now, we'll get into why there's so much damage going on, but like I said, we'll kind of get into it a little bit later. All right, so unique 1, Imperial Vanguard, Zeta, and an Omicron. We don't see the Omicron yet. They've talked about how they're going to release it closer to the raid, probably because they probably don't have it completely finalized yet. And that's okay, because hopefully the raid is, at the very end of the year, November, December timeframe. So that way we can continue to get our raid rewards as is. But whenever Scout Trooper is critically hit, they will stealth for 2 turns and recover 5% health and protection. That's just kind of meh to me. I mean, unless Scout Trooper comes out and she has like the biggest health pool and protection pool of all time, 5% health and protection doesn't seem like too much. But you never know. Like I said, maybe that's awesome. It's nice in its own regard, but nowadays 5% health and protection is just you could barely notice it, right? People just do too much damage now. If the ally in the leader slot is Imperial Remnant, whenever an enemy begins their turn, Scout Trooper gains 10% turn meter, right? So just going to be kind of their own internal turn meter train This is very similar to what Veers is doing, but it's with buffs. But you know, this is, they have your own, you know, allies, or whenever an enemy begins their turn, your Scout Trooper is going to kind of gain that turn meter. Whenever Scout Trooper has turn meter removed, she'll gain 25% turn meter stacking, max twice. So I think basically whenever it has it removed, it'll take it down once. It'll say, hey, like now you're going to gain 25% turn meter. On your second time, you're going to get 50%. And every time after that, it's 50%. Now, this is important because remember, Moff Gideon has a turn meter reduction of his own where he reduces everyone's turn meter. Then he grants all allies 25% turn meter. So your first time that you do that, you're actually just going to give Scout Trooper 50% turn meter. The second time you do that, or if you're, you know, an enemy reduces her turn meter or whatever the case is, you're actually going to just gain 75% turn meter. So should be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, here's the part that gets really tricky or really interesting. If the leader, or if the ally in the leader slot is Imperial Remnant and no other allies that use there's no other allies that use Emperor's Trap, aka Piet, the allied leader gains 20% max health and 20 speed, right? So that's sort of you know, equivalent to what Veers provides us. And then whenever an Imperial Trooper ally begins a turn or attacks out of turn, all Imperial allies gain a stack of Emperor's Trap until the start of the next enemy turn, non-Imperial Trooper allies turn, or the end of battle. Can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Normal stuff. Now, for you guys to remember, Emperor's Trap gives 6% offense and 6% potency per stack. So if you just open up, let's just say you open up, your first person to go is going to be Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon just decides to do the turn meter reduction. That's one ability there for him. So he's, you know, that's 6% offense. Then he's going to have, you know, 5 other people come in and call to assist. That's going to be another, you know, 5 times that. So that's another 30% offense. So you're already at 36% offense before you even move. Because you've gained your turn meter, you're going to go through another 5 turns, right? So you can see how this offense stacks up, right? And we all know what Dark Trooper does when he gets some, you know, stacks of Emperor's Trap. So a lot of stuff going on there. Now, here's the interesting part as well. Just like all troopers, they kind of have like this whenever they're active type thing. Imperial, we don't really care about this, right? Who cares about Imperial troopers gaining 10% crit chance? But Imperial Remnant allies have 10 speed, right? So now all of a sudden, basically we've added 30 speed onto Moff Gideon. People are already have gotten their Moff Gideons to, you know, 380-ish. So you're going to be finding Moff Gideons well within the 400 range. So it's going to be hard to outspeed them unless you have a Galactic Legend. So yes, this is going to be huge as far as what this does to the Imperial Remnant faction. It's going to be a nice little, you know, kit that can probably fit in with the, you know, the rest of the Imperial troopers, you know, like Iden, like they kind of said, you know, hey, maybe it gives us a nice little cute thing to do against Wampa, Omicron Wampas. But honestly, it feels like there's probably this buildup towards Imperial Remnants. We also got teased that there's going to be another Moff Gideon, right? So I think we're starting to build into a squad. Like I hate to pre-jump the gun, but I think there's maybe some potential here for, you know, a Galactic Legend-esque counter or very strong counter nonetheless. And before we end the video, I really want to get into why some of the stacking offense is really important too. So we're going to move into the game really, really quick. Okay, guys, so here's our 4 Imperial Remnants that we currently have. As you can see right now, this is why they've been kind of a sad bunch, right? There's not really a ton that goes on with these guys. You know, at best, they're like a C+, B- team when you've thrown like everything at them. But the problem is really they just detract way too much from Veers and the other groups that are just flat out better. So we talked about stacking offense a little bit, and this is going to be super important, guys. Like, there's some really key parts to this where we aren't just used to Dark Trooper hitting so hard right off the bat. but it's going to happen, I think, with this lead. So I don't have the Zeta for his lead because it just honestly wasn't that good, because like I said, this is a B minus C plus faction at best, just because they are only a 4-man faction at this point. So remember all the things that are added, and really the key thing is the offense, right? Because again, Dark Trooper's in here. We want Dark Trooper to hit hard. Dark Trooper loves offense. So yes, 30% max health and protection, and then the Imperial allies already have 15% off the start. Now, I think Veers starts with like 30%, so we still have some room to catch up with. Okay, so as long as you meet these criteria, which that you don't have a choice if you're going to use a full Imperial Remnant faction, you're going to meet these criteria. So basically, whenever an enemy with a leader tag uses an ability, Imperial Trooper allies gain 10% offense stacking until the end of the encounter. So that's all automatically, like anytime that leader is going, you're gaining that 10% offense stacking. Whenever an enemy with the leader tag takes a turn, Moff Gideon gains 1 stack of insight. So Imperial Trooper allies have an additional 25% offense and revive with 50% health and protection for the first time they're defeated each encounter. So that's already, so you have your 15 up there, you've got 25 up here. So you've already started this match off with 40% offense as is. Now, the first thing that you usually end up doing is you end up doing control the situation, just to kind of reduce the turn meter, and you kind of, build up your advantage, I guess, so to speak, as you kind of regain that turn meter. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to call all Imperial allies to assist, dealing 30% less damage. And remember, whenever you do that, you've also gaining Emperor's Trap, which means that you're gaining that 6% offense for every single person that's going during that turn. And then, yeah, all units are going to lose 100% turn meter. Your allies are going to gain 25% turn meters. And then this is the important part here. Attacker allies are going to gain 50% offense for 2 turns as well. So you've got your lead 40% offense. You've got your 50% offense for Dark Trooper here. You've got, 30% plus more happening with the Emperor's Trap. So you can start to see how, eventually, like, this is going to add up, and it's going to make Dark Trooper hit really, really hard. You're going to start to kill people just right off the bat. And yeah, every single turn, you're now going to use Scout Trooper to call in, Dark Trooper to assist. It's going to be madness, guys. At least that's how it looks like on paper. We'll have to see how it plays out on the actual holo tables, because that's usually how this all goes. Things can look really, really promising, and then maybe, when we test it out, it's not as promising as we thought, but it does look really, really good so far. So then that brings the question, though, if we're bringing Dark Trooper out of General Veers' team, what does General Veers become? That's actually a really good question too, and at this point, I don't know. It might become one of those things where General Veers, Stark, those kind of guys, they kind of get retired, or maybe they try to fit back into Iden, even though, like Veers can't. It's going to be an interesting time for the Imperial Troopers. There's going to be some mishing and mashing, I think. The fact of all this stacking offense and a second team that gets Emperor's Trap, I don't know. It's going to be tough to see. I think what I foresee happening is Piet moving off of Trooper's team. He's going to go with Lord Vader. General Veers, unfortunately, it's probably end of the game for him, for at least for now. Dark Trooper's going to go be with Moff Gideon, with Scout Trooper, and then your Iden team is going to kind of be your Iden team that it is currently, and that can still get wamped. That's just my guess right now. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully I at least brought some light to some things that maybe you guys weren't seeing. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.